lesson. This is going to be a little bit of a tougher lesson. So if you have questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. We will practice it again on Monday with a review activity and then a short quiz just to see if everyone's got it. All right, so we are going to write equations. So we're still dealing with lines, and we're going to write it in slope-intercept form. Now you should hopefully recognize slope-intercept form because we have dealt with it the last two chapters, but that looks like y equals mx plus b. Again, it's called slope-intercept form because we have a slope and we have a y-intercept. And that's where it gets its name, slope-intercept form. Okay, so what's going to happen is when you guys graph, you're so used to graphing them and you do a really good job of graphing things that look like this. Now, the higher math that you get, and this is going to be huge for you next year in high school, and we're just going to kind of introduce it a little bit in pre-algebra. But what happens if we're not given an equation that looks like that? What if our equation maybe looks something like this instead? How can I graph that? Well, the key is that we have to make it look like that one does, and we have to get y by itself and get rid of everything else. Okay, so that's what today's lesson is all about, is how to make this, turn this line into slope-intercept form so that way I know how to graph it from there. Okay, so here are our steps that we're going to do. Again, step one kind of refers to her lesson earlier in the year. We're going to draw a heart around the y and its coefficient, and we're going to call this the happy couple. Now be careful. In the past, you only had one letter, and so it was really easy to know which one was the happy couple. Notice the happy couple this time has to be the y and its coefficient, not the x, just the y and its coefficient. All right, step two is to isolate the happy couple by getting rid of everything else on that side of the equals. And remember, we have to do the opposite operation to move it to the other side. A lot of times you'll hear me say, switch the side, switch the sign. And here's the tricky part for a lot of people. A lot of people are going to want to combine the x term with the constant. I'll show you what that means here in just a second, but we got to keep them separate, because one of them is going to be the slope and the other one's going to be the y-intercept. In step three, we have to split up that happy couple, and we always split up the happy couple by dividing everything by y's coefficient. Okay, notice it says everything. That's important too. Okay, so let's see what these few examples look. As we go through them, they're going to get a little tougher each time. So again, if you run into problems and you need help, just send me a message on Schoology. Okay, so I'm going to draw a line down the equals. It's an equation. We always do that. And I want to get y by itself. Okay, so technically y's happy couple, its coefficient, is 1. Now, I don't need to write in a 1 because we all know that that 1 is applied. So there's my happy couple. It's just the 1 and the y. So to get y by itself, I have to get rid of that minus 4. And again, this is the saying I say a lot, is if we switch the side, we're going to switch the sign when it comes to adding and subtracting. So to get rid of a minus 4, we have to add 4 to both sides. Those are inverses. Okay, so negative 4 plus 4 cancels out. We have 0, which is our goal. We want y by itself. Okay, so we're there. We just have to make sense of this right side. Most common mistake is that people are going to say that this is 7x's, but that is not true. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and erase that since that is not true. That would be true if I had 3x plus 4x. That would give me 7x's. But here I have 3x plus 4. And it might help you to kind of realize this. We have a coefficient here and our constant is 0. So if it helps you to make sense, I wouldn't combine the 4 with the 3x. I would combine the 4 with the 0 over here. So how many x's did I have? I had 3 x's still. How many constants did I have? I had 4 constants. And that is what it's going to look like. Okay, and notice it looks like y equals mx plus b. I can now graph this equation. I could start my graph at 4, and I could use my slope of 3 to rise 3 and run 1. Okay, so our whole goal is to make this equation something that I know how to graph. Okay, so we're going to be practicing that quite a bit. So let's try another one. We're going to draw a line down our equals. My constant, or my coefficient here, sorry, is the 1. I have a 1y. Okay, so I'm trying to get that by itself. To get rid of the 2x, everyone wants to divide, but remember when we solved equations, we got rid of a plus 2x by a minus 2x. Again, if you switch the side, we switch the sign on these. So that gives me 0 x's. On this side, ask yourself, how many x's do I have? Well, this was a constant up here. Down below were how many x's I had. So I have negative 2 x's, but I have a constant of a positive 1. Okay, so this would be our equation in slope-intercept form. Again, I have negative 2 x's and I have a constant of positive 1. Don't combine those together. Now it looks like y equals mx plus b. So this would be my final answer here. Okay, we're going to keep going. Again, each time they could be getting a little bit tougher. So I'm going to draw my line down my equals. I want to get y by itself. It has no coefficient. It just has that 1 in front, which we don't write. All right, so we have 2 things to get rid of, the 3x and the 1. You can get rid of whichever one you prefer. I like to start on the left and just work from left to right, but it doesn't have to be that way. So I'm going to subtract 3 x's here, and whatever you do to one side, we do to the other. So again, I got rid of a plus 3x with a minus 3x. I cancel that out over here. I have my happy y there, plus 1 equals. Okay, so again, I'm going to rewrite this. So how many x's do I have? I have negative 3 x's. How many constants do I have? 0. Okay, now y is not by itself like it was the last time. I have one more thing to get rid of. I'm going to subtract 1. Now, that gives me 0, or just y by itself now. On the right side, though, I'm going to line it up. It doesn't have an x with it, so that makes it a constant. So I'm going to put it with the other constant, which is 0. And I'm going to combine those. So 0 plus negative 1 is negative 1. And I'm going to bring down how many x's I had, which was negative 3. So final answer here is y equals negative 3x minus 1. All right, let's try another one before I have you guys try one on your own. Okay, so I'm going to draw the line down the equals. Now this one is different than the other ones. So let's see how you do on this one. I actually have a happy couple. It's not just y by itself. It is 2y. Okay, and it's a positive 2y. So I'm going to keep the sign with that. If you want to, you can put it in the heart too. Positive 2y. I want to get rid of a negative 4x. So I'm going to move it to the other side by doing the opposite operation. I'm going to add, or the inverse operation. We're going to add not just 4, but I have to add 4 x's to cancel out both the 4 and the x. I'm going to bring down my 2y, my happy couple. Again, do not combine those together. One has an x, one does not. How many x's do I have? 4x. How many constants do I have? Negative 2. Remember, when I'm writing y equals mx plus b, I always want my x terms to come first and last my constants. So that's why I put them in that order. Okay, so this is the part that's new. I have to split up my happy couple. Right now it's 2 times y. So to get rid of that coefficient of 2, I have to get rid of multiplication, which is by dividing. So that's going to give me just y over here. But remember, whatever I do to one side, I have to do the other. And we have to not only divide the first term by 2, but we have to divide all terms over there by 2. So I have to divide everything by that coefficient. And then I just have to clean up and simplify. So 4x divided by 2 is 2x, and negative 2 divided by 2 is negative 1. And that would be our final answer in slope-intercept form. All right, go ahead and try one on your own. see what you get, and we will go through the answer right afterwards. Go ahead and pause now. All right, let's see. If I have my happy couple, that's a 2y. I'm going to get rid of my positive 8x with the subtracting of 8x. That gives me 0. I should have 2y equals. I put my x term first. How many x's do I have? I have negative 8 of them. How many constants do I have? Negative 6. Now split up your happy couple by dividing everything by 2, and let's clean it up. So answer should be y equals negative 4x minus 3. All right, we're going to have a follow-up based upon how you did. If you got it wrong, try another one like that, the top one. If you got it right, go ahead and challenge yourself with the bottom one. Again, you're trying to get them in slope-intercept form, so y equals mx plus b. All right, go ahead and pause now, and we'll go through the answers right afterwards. All right, let's see how you did. The first one, we have a negative 3y this time. Make sure we include that sign with a negative 3. We have to get rid of a negative 12x by adding 12x. And I would cancel those out. So I would have negative 3y equals how many x's? 12. How many constants? 6. And last, I would divide it by my coefficient. And remember, divide everything by that coefficient. And this one, you have to be careful of the signs. So I have just y. 12 divided by negative 3 is negative 4x. 6 divided by negative 3 is a negative 2. Again, positive divided by negative. That would have been our answer to the first one. Y equals negative 4x minus 2. All right, the bottom one, this gets into more of an algebra problem. This time our y is on the right side. That's okay. I still have my happy couple. I still need to get rid of the things out to the side that are with it, or the outsiders. Okay, so I'm going to get rid of the 7x first. Again, if I switch it to the other side, I have to switch that sign. So I'm going to add 7x, and I would line it up under the other x term, or the one that has a coefficient. So I cancel out my 7x's. I'm going to bring down my 8. I'm going to combine my like terms here to get 4x. I'm going to bring down my happy couple. Again, I'm going to keep them in the heart yet. And I'm going to bring down my plus 10. Again, we still have an outsider here. The 10 has to go to the other side. So to get rid of it, we're going to do the inverse and subtract it, which cancels that out. So I have 2y equal to 4x. Bring that down. Combine my like terms. That's a negative 2. And I'm going to bring down a plus here since that was a positive 4x. All right. Last step here. Sorry, I accidentally hit the share button. Was we're going to divide by this coefficient. So I'm going to divide everything by 2. And when I do that, I get negative 2 divided by 2 is negative 1. 4 divided by 2 is 2, so that's 2 x's. And I'm just going to reorder it to put the y on the other side. So y equals 2 x's, and subtracting 1 is usually how you will see it written. All right, so in class we'd have our commercial break, but since we're at home, I'm just going to do the last 3 questions with you. Again, these last 3 are a little bit tougher. So stay with us. I know hopefully by now you're getting the concept. If not, again, shoot me some questions. But these are different from the other ones, so stay with us. Okay, so go through your steps. Put a heart around your happy couple, which is a positive 3y. We want to get rid of the x, so I'm going to send it to the other side. Now when it's just an x term, a lot of times people get confused when there's no coefficient. So I'm going to put a 1 there just to help ease some of the confusion. So to get rid of a plus 1x, I have to subtract 1x. All right, so I'm going to do that, and I'm going to bring down my happy couple of 3y. How many x's do I have? I have negative 1. How many constants do I have? I have 6. Again, sometimes people will just put a negative x there, but I'll show you why I like to put the 1 here in just 1 second. Okay, so next step is to get rid of your coefficient or split up the happy couple. We do that by dividing. Now here's where if you don't put the 1 there, people will sometimes get confused. Maybe they will just divide the 6 by 3 when they're supposed to divide everything by 3, all 3 terms. Okay, so that's one mistake people might do, is just divide one of them by 3. The other mistake that people might do is when they're cleaning up, they might get the slope wrong. Slope can be a fraction. This slope, I don't know what -1 divided by 3 is. It's not a whole number. So I'm going to keep it, I know a lot of you guys do know what it is as a decimal, but we want to keep it as a fraction. That is a slope of -1/3, so down 1, right 3. If you don't put that 1 there, a lot of times people will say our answer or our slope here is -3. So be careful with that. If putting the 1 there helps you, go for it. And then we have 6 divided by 3, which is 2. So our equation here is y equals -1/3 x plus 2. All right, let's try another one like that. Put a line down your equals. Our happy couple is a -1 this time, so -2y. Remember, always keep the sign in front of it. I want to get rid of a 1x. This was a positive 1x, so I'm going to subtract 1x from both sides. Bring down my happy couple of -2y. I'm going to bring down my -1x and bring down my -2. Remember, how many x's, how many constants. And then we have to divide by our coefficient. And remember, divide everything by that coefficient. So my final answer in slope-intercept form would look like this. I have 1 on top and 2 on bottom. That's a half. I'm going to keep it as a fraction so I can graph it. That'd be a rise of 1 and a run of 2. Now the other thing is to be careful of the signs. Negative divided by a negative is a positive. So this is 1/2 x. Again, negative divided by a negative is a positive, and 2 divided by 2 is 1. So our equation in slope-intercept form is y equals 1/2 x plus 1. And here's our last one. This one people always get super confused on. Feel free to try it on your own if you want to pause now, and then we'll go through it together. All right, here's what you should have gotten. Again, as soon as you don't see coefficients, a lot of times I will draw in the 1s. Okay, who is the happy couple? That is our -1y. Again, include the negative, the sign in front. I want to get rid of a positive 1x, so I'm going to subtract 1x from both sides. Cancels that out. So I have -1y equal to, how many x's do I have? I have -1x. How many constants do I have? That's a +2. And I'm going to divide everything by that coefficient to get rid of the -1 out front. So that would give us y equals negative divided by a negative is a positive. 1 divided by 1 is 1. So that's 1x. Or you could just put x. Either one's right. 2 divided by -1 is -2. So y equals 1x minus 2. Or a lot of times you will see that written instead as y equals x minus 2, since that 1 is implied. All right, hopefully this video was helpful. And I hope you guys have a great day. See ya.